We're going to be talking about some of the most enigmatic and sometimes difficult to read cards in the deck this week. That would be the court cards. That and your Sunday morning spread for the week to come, coming right up. Brian Noah with you from Cards of Light. Thank you for joining me once again this week for our episode. We're going to be talking about the court cards in a little bit, and also, of course, we'll have our tarot card reading for the week to come. On the front end, though, if you are new here, welcome. Please do subscribe to this channel so you'll get all of our content as soon as it comes out. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you very much. I appreciate you being with us again this week. Wanted to mention also, for those of you who might be interested in a tarot reading, I do offer those. You can get information on that by visiting atarotjourney.com on the web. I have several different options for that, and they're provided by Zoom. And so that should give you all the information you need if you visit that link. Also, I did an earlier episode where I talked a little bit about what to expect from a reading, and so I'll link to that in the description box. But if you are interested in a tarot reading, please do get in touch. All right, let's talk about court cards. So the court cards have a unique place in the tarot deck. While the major arcana, the trump cards, obviously indicate big energy patterns and kind of monumental events or at least significant events in life. And the pip cards that we spoke about last week talk about emerging energies and that sort of thing, and have specific correspondences and divinatory meanings. The court cards are kind of in this no man's land where they do represent something, but it's usually the using them in a reading or even using them in a one card draw as a spiritual tool can be a little daunting to get a hold of them, because they most of the time will represent literal people, either the querent or someone else, someone that is either in their life or someone that is going to be coming into their life, or an aspect of someone's personality or something like that. So because they represent people, you get into these questions of, okay, who is it? What does this card mean? Who is it representing? What is it saying about them? That sort of thing. So they're a little bit slippery to kind of get a handle on. They can represent energetic tendencies for sure, personality traits, and that sort of thing. Sometimes it's a little bit hard to pin down exactly what the message is coming from one of these cards. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I use them in cartomancy when I'm doing readings for others, and point you in the direction of some thoughts and some tools that you can use if you want to incorporate these a little bit more into your tarot practice. These cards are the ones that we typically use for the significator cards. So when we're doing a large spread like a Celtic cross, we might choose one of those cards to represent the querent. And if one of these cards lands in a spot like self, in that, sort of spread, then it's pretty obvious at that point, how to parse all of that. Or if it lands in, my house, you're talking about external, like people around you, then it's pretty easy to see what's going on there. But let's say that it lands in the future position in a 3-card spread, as it did in our spread last week. We had the Queen of Coins that showed up. How do you work with that? How do you interpret that? So let's first of all talk about kind of the meanings of these cards. So There are all of the typical sorts of correspondences that we see with other tarot cards. So there are relationships between each of these cards and astrology, relationships between each of these cards and the Kabbalistic worlds and Tree of Life. Some people like to draw correspondence between these cards and the Myers-Briggs scale, and kind of assign Myers-Briggs types to each of these cards. So there are a lot of ways of getting at sort of who these characters on these cards represent. What has been most useful for me in that regard is to approach this from the standpoint of the elements of each suit and then the rank of the cards. So in a similar way to what I described last week with the pip cards, we would look at the wands as the suit of fire, the suit of spirit. We would look at the cups as the suit of the heart, the suit of social relationships and love and our emotions and that sort of thing. For swords, we would look at that as the suit of the air, the suit of the mind, so the mental landscape. And pentacles, discs, coins, we would look at the suit of the earth, so things that are very related to what we experience as material reality, very grounded and very real, at least real seeming. And so we can use those for the each of the suits, and then each of the ranks mean something different. So, and I'm going to talk about this in terms of the Thoth deck. It's a little bit different with the Rider deck or the Tarot de Marseilles, but I'm going to talk about it just from the standpoint of the Thoth. So knights would be fire, queens, water, princes, swords, and princesses, earth. And so if you had, let's say, the Knight of Wands, that is fire of fire, so very powerful, fiery energy going on there. So you would relate each, like for instance, the Knight of Discs in the Thoth deck would be fire of earth. So think about something that is ultimately very powerful, but isn't moving super quickly. Slow, steady, strong energy there going on with that. So you can do that with each of the ranks and each of the suits to kind of get a sense of the energy behind the cards. I think regardless of what deck I'm using, I tend to think of knights as cards of action. I tend to think of queens as nurturing energy. I tend to think of the kings or princes, depending on what deck you're using, as decision makers, administrators, authority figures, that sort of thing. And then pages or princesses are kind of beginners, lots of youthful energy. They can represent messengers as well. So again, if you combine kind of those concepts for each of the ranks of the cards, and then with whatever suit you're dealing with, you can get a pretty good handle on these card meanings. And of course, you can always do the things that we do with the other cards, where you draw a card a day, research it a little in terms of the historical kind of meanings of the cards, and then do some journaling and stuff to kind of get a sense of how you view that card and what it means. Once you've got those meanings down, the most useful and consistent way of reading these cards, at least for me, has been to take them as either encouragement or warning. So is the energy or the character represented on that card something that in the current situation is going to be helpful to emulate? Or is it something that's going to be helpful to avoid? So that's the way I look at those. And sometimes which direction you go on that can be purely an intuitive call. It can be a matter of, I'm getting it. This could mean that we should charge right ahead, or it could mean that we're that we should be cautious, depending. And I'm getting the sense that it is one or the other of those. That's something that you can kind of almost negotiate with the querent if you're reading for someone else, though. How does that strike them? Is it a signal to emulate the character and the energy on the card, or is it a signal to kind of be wary of that energy at the moment? So that is how I tend to read these when I'm reading with others. There are some exceptions. Sometimes the posture of the depiction on the card will feel a certain way, or will strike you a certain way, or will strike the querent a certain way. And that can give you some insight depending on where the card is in the spread and what the question at hand is. The direction that the character on the card is facing can sometimes make it a difference. Are they looking back? Are they looking forward? Are they looking at something else on the table? So you sometimes have to just play it by ear and pick up on sort of just those intuitive hits you get from looking at the cards, and not just kind of go by rote of, oh, this is what this card means. And that's true of all of the cards in the deck, but it's especially important with these court cards because they are a little bit challenging sometimes to figure out when they're laid out on the table. So it's good sometimes to just take a breath, step back for a moment, and look at everything that's on the table and look at those court cards in that context and see if they are telling you something that you would miss if you were just down into granular details with them. But more often than not, I am looking for is this energy that is going to come to our aid, or is it energy that's going to trip us up? Sometimes a client will get a really strong impression when a card is laid on the table, and they'll say, oh, that's so-and-so, and they'll know that's my boss, or oh, that's my spouse, or that's some other relative or something along those lines. And then that can really be kind of interesting and fun to work through. But these are different than any of the other cards in the deck. Also, the astrological correspondences on these are very odd if you dig into all of that stuff. They don't fit in kind of neatly like some of the other cards do. And so that is an interesting field of study, but you could study that your whole life and still kind of not command it. And so I think that this, taking a look at the elements, taking a look at the rank and the suit, and then looking for, is this energy something that I want to emulate, or is it something that I need to be wary of? That's kind of the short course on how to interpret these cards in a reading. I would love to hear what you're thinking about this. If you are a card reader and you have something that works for you, something that you'd like to share as regards these court cards, please leave comments here with the video. Or if you've got questions or other thoughts or anything like that, whether you're a reader or not, please do let us know what you're thinking. Either leave comments here or visit the weblog at atarotjourney.com, and you can get in touch with me there if you'd like to have a little more private conversation about it. All right, let's go to the table now for our tarot card reading for the week to come. Okay, let's see what's in the cards for this week. We're using the Convert Ben Dove Tarot de Marseilles this time around. And in the first position, we have the Three of Swords. Card number 2 is the Five of Swords. Finally, over here on the right, we have the Three of Cups. So 3 pip cards this week, 2 from the suit of swords and 1 from the cups. And we've got these 3s surrounding the 5. Let's take these one at a time. In the first position over here, the Three of Swords, and this is traditionally the card of sorrows and primordial wounds. Coming in this first position over here of opening influences or waning influences, this I think means kind of cutting through that sorrow and finding a way forward. So if we've been hanging on to kind of a sense of sadness or dread, we need to just find ways to move forward, and we're getting some help from this Five of Swords card. This is the card of breakthroughs. It is about pushing forward through seeming limitations and making some progress. The key here is to, regardless of the situation, to keep our spirits up, and whatever we're doing, to do it in our own way, and not rely so much on other people to carry the weight or to give us cues on what to do in this situation. We just need to push on forward ourselves, and we will do well. And then we have this Three of Cups over here. And so coming on the scene, some new source of joy and happiness. A lot of times this card is about the birth of a child, or could be spending time caring for a child, whether it is literally a child or not. A lot of times this card is about some sort of project or pursuit or activity that we're doing with others, which is not necessarily motivated by common interests, but is motivated by wanting to nurture that relationship. So if you've ever spent time doing crafts with a young person where they're really excited about it and all of that kind of stuff, and you're in the mode of fetching things and giving them guidance, and it may not be something that you're even all that interested in or all that skilled at, but you are interested in that child, and so you're working with them on that sort of thing. That's the sort of energy of this Three of Cups. And so it could mean pursuing something like that in order to build a relationship, whether it's with a child or just with another person. But maybe kind of taking somebody under your wing and just spending time with them in something, some kind of pursuit that they enjoy, or some kind of project that would be fun to do together just because you're spending time together. In any case, after all of these swords over here on the left, we kind of are getting some respite from that kind of sharp, hard-edged energy, and moving into the softer energy of the Cups cards, and some sort of new source of joy in our lives. So pretty auspicious card spread for the week to come. I'd love to hear what you think. If you've got comments, leave them here with the video, or visit the weblog at atarotjourney.com. That'll do it for this week. I appreciate you joining us once again this week for our tarot card reading and the other information here. If you are new to this channel, again, please do subscribe, and if everybody could give this video a thumbs up before you leave, I would very much appreciate that. We'll be back soon with more, and in the meantime, as always, I wish you peace. Take care of yourself.